Members of Bachelor Nation follow pretty intense rules while filming, and today we have all the details. Hey guys, welcome to another Shared News from Home. Today we're breaking down exactly what it's like to compete on The Bachelor. But before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any other videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms.
Hi guys.
All right, so we have so many crazy rules to get through, so I just want to dive right in with the first and perhaps the most important rule contestants do have to follow after being cast on the show, and that is you can't tell anyone. Contestants have to sign NDAs promising they will not reveal they've been cast on the show. Obviously, ABC does announce the lineup before the show begins to air, but up until literally that moment, they have to contractually keep their involvement a secret. And of course, once you actually get to the show and start filming, cell phones are confiscated and there's no technology or magazines allowed. On rest days, production actually selects movies for contestants to all sit around and watch together. There's no TV allowed, period. And obviously, there is no social media. So Avery, I think these rules are probably the most common. I think they're a little bit obvious in an environment like this show. What are your thoughts? Do you feel like these rules make sense? To me, as intense as they sound, I don't think they're that crazy.
No, I think they definitely make sense. And I think this is kind of like the basic outline of rules for like all the reality TV shows you go on to like find love for. It makes a lot of sense.
Totally. And I think that like the rest of the rules, as we like go down this list, like some of them are a little more out there, but I can always sort of circle it back to the logic. So while you guys are watching, let us know in the comments what you think is too far and what feels like it makes sense.
By the way, the casting process is intense. An LA Times Batch expose author, Amy Kuffman, wrote in her book, contestants are required to film well-lit videos of themselves dressed as if they're going to a nice dinner for producers to watch. She also shared contestants have to meet with a private investigator, explaining this person would be trained to dig up any skeletons in the closet, partly to use for their storyline, but also to get ahead of any tabloid stories that could come to the surface if they were on the show. Had they ever been arrested? Had they ever sent nude photos to anyone? Had they ever made a sex tape? Had they gotten a DUI? Contestants literally sign off on being exposed, humiliated.
It's very awkward. Rosalind, you entered into an inappropriate relationship with one of our staffers.
If you check out the fine print in the show's eligibility requirements, they state revelation of personal information and recordings as defined in these eligibility requirements may be embarrassing, unfavorable, humiliating, or derogatory, and may portray him or her in a false light. You also can't bail on any dates and have to agree to all sorts of crazy activities. The show's requirements apparently say contestants have to agree to participate in skydiving, snow skiing, ice skating, parasailing, water skiing, rollerblading, and more. So they have to go through a lot to make it just even to the limo.
They definitely do. I think like it's pretty crazy everything that they like have to sign off on and the process they have to go through. But ultimately, like it does make sense. Like what if producers want someone to skydive that season? If you didn't contractually agree to do that, but the production has already paid for it, it's budgeted, whatever, they end up in some hot water. So I'm sure their theory here is like, let's just cover everything we possibly can. That way we're set. What are your thoughts on the well-lit, like, going to dinner audition video? That one really cracked me up.
I actually had a friend who was auditioning for the show, and we were kind of, like, helping her with it. It was just, like, the very first phase of casting, but she, like, went to a bunch of different locations, different outfits. Like, it was a lot just for, like, phase one. But I think it's funny. It gives the people who cast the show more of an idea if they are like presenting themselves in like that way. Like obviously you shouldn't like record the video in sweats. Like it just But it's a lot of work. Like, people have to really be serious if they want to do this and put in the time.
Totally. And I mean, I think you think about, like, if an actor is auditioning for a TV show or a movie, they have a script, they have something to perform. Like, how do you show your personality to, you know, producers for first round stuff? Well, like, what would you do to go to dinner? Like, it actually does make sense. It just is a little wild. The next rule, you guys, is just kind of a bummer for contestants, and that is that no wardrobe is provided. So contestants are required to style themselves completely. Every outfit they wear is their own, and they're providing their own glam as well. Bachelorette Jillian Harris said she legitimately took out a second mortgage on her home to buy $8,000 worth of cute outfits for The Bachelor. And another former cast member, Becca Martinez, told Glamour that she spent around $800 just on heels and makeup for the show. So that is pretty crazy in and of itself. But what I think is fascinating is the packing list is intense. So you have to pay for it all yourself, but then you also have to pack a lot of stuff. Andy Dorfman wrote in her book that contestants are required to bring clothing for both cold and warm weather, athletic wear, bathing suits, heels, tennis shoes, sandals, cocktail, long and casual dresses, and heavy coats. And another former contestant, Jacqueline Schwartz, shared they tell you that you're only allowed 2 to 3 suitcases total. So when you put all of that together, that is a pretty tall order. And you don't even know if you're going to make it past night one. Imagine the stress of packing all of that and then being sent home at the first rose ceremony. That would be such a bummer. Another interesting rule around fashion is that contestants cannot wear certain things while on the show. In his tell-all book, Sean Lowe revealed that contestants can't wear stripes, small checkered patterns, big patterns, and solid white. This is sort of like standard, like good practice for TV, but when you're packing things and you're running out of clothes, that might actually be pretty stressful. Producers also get a say in what dresses contestants wear for their limo arrivals. So the limo dresses are actually approved by producers. Jacqueline Schwartz gave Fashionista some intel about how limo arrivals work. She explained you're by yourself in a hotel room and you come with a dress and probably a backup dress, and then the stylist, Carrie Fettman, and a producer will come around to your room. They'll approve the dress for the first night, and it's usually to make sure no two girls are wearing the same dress, which of course would be so awkward and so stressful. And out of all the mean tricks producers play, this actually feels like very nice that they look out for you here. Speaking of dresses, you guys, it's not just limo dresses to consider. Another fact Sean Lowe shared in his book is that contestants have to front the bill for all of their dresses. Ashley I also told Fashionista that the mentality you really have to go with is that you wear your favorites first. You want to save the best for last, but you have to be realistic and think, am I going to be here last? So you've got to pack a lot of dresses. You have to pick your favorites, be strategic with when you wear what. My question to you, Avery, is knowing everything we just learned, should they be given a wardrobe budget? Because I feel like they should. I feel like that is a lot to ask.
Most definitely. Well, the fact that people have to pack 14 dresses but can only bring like 3 suitcases, and then say like, I don't know, when I pack, I always have to bring like so much backup just in case, or like you never know like what might work and what might not. And then that's not fair to the people who can afford all these nice dresses. And then there's others who can maybe not even afford 2. And this is like evening wear and like cocktail parties. So I definitely think there should be a budget and probably a wardrobe. Like I'm sure there could probably be some type of like evening wear sponsor who can provide the girls with just some like cocktail dresses. Because this is very overwhelming, like the list.
I know I read, I forget who it was, but one of the girls was very strategic and she went to like a local boutique and said like, I can't tell you why, but if you loan me some clothes, you know, I promise they'll get great exposure. And so it all sort of like ties together because you know, someone could call up Revolve and be like, hey, I'm going to be on next season of The Bachelor. Give me fabulous clothes. Everyone will know they're from Revolve. It'll be a great thing for everyone. But they're not allowed to tell anybody they're going on the show. So it's just a very interesting, the wardrobe of it all is like such a huge commitment in and of itself. You have to sacrifice a lot for this chance.
Like dropping $800 just on makeup and heels, and like it's not even like promised that you'll make it after the first night. Like after all this preparation and like money and time, that's just crazy. That's a lot of pressure.
Totally agree.
All right, well, moving on from fashion to health, all contestants are required to take STD tests. Might sound sort of invasive, but ultimately it does make sense. Fantasy suites alone offer the opportunity for the star to sleep with multiple people, and it's important to put safety first. They are also apparently required to take full-blown psychological evaluation to make sure they're a good fit, according to former contestant Leslie Hughes. Catherine Selden, who conducted a psych evaluation for the show back in 2010, said, "We want to make sure that people are going to be okay with coping with the stress involved and make sure that they are going to be offered the help they need if that is the case." In addition to tests and evaluations, contestants complete an intense personality quiz as well. Cuffman shared details in her book explaining, quote, 150 question personality test is filled with multiple choice and true or false questions. Do you have out-of-body experiences? Do you think you can control things with your mind? Have you ever wanted to kill someone? Some of these questions would be asked several times with different wording. Do we think this is too invasive? Is it fair game? What do we think, Fiona?
So here's the thing. I think that, you know, is it invasive? A little bit, sure. But ultimately, from like ABC's standpoint, the liability of it all, like God forbid any of the above things happen, would be out of this world. So, I mean, I think that it's probably pretty standard in reality TV. As much as the casting process can show personality, what someone's going to look like on camera, their confidence levels on camera, like you want to make sure that you're putting people in a situation that is not going to be dangerous to themselves or dangerous to others. So I guess it's fair game, as crazy as it all sounds. Everyone's got to protect themselves, and it makes sense that ABC would take these steps to do so.
Yes. Like for something like this, you have to have a safe environment, and they don't want a situation like maybe someone thought they could go on the show and do all this, but once you're actually in the whole experience and like all the pressure, like a lot of people can't handle that. So I think that's another reason why they do these tests, just to see how they like adapt in different environments. But if someone was to answer like yes to like, do you think you can control things with your mind? Is that like, do you think that's like an automatic, oh, you can't be on the show? Or is it just like part of someone's personality?
Well, here's the like cynical side of me. I think that these tests are twofold. I think that it is to rule out someone who, you know, won't be able to emotionally handle the stress of the show.
Kelsey, do you remember where you are? Are you in pain?
No, I think I'm just having a panic attack.
Okay.
Or, you know, maybe has some dangerous murder tendencies. Of course, like they want to weed out those people.
Yeah.
But then it might also expose, like, assuming a personality test shows you have a very intense jealous streak. Like, we know those people end up on the show. So I think these personality
that's what
tests,
I'm thinking
as much
too.
as they, right? Like, as much as they are to protect ABC, to protect the contestants, to protect producers, they're also to probably put together a nice little file on these people and let producers know what button to push when.
You're gonna come here and make me look like a bitch and play into everything they're saying. You act like you seen me. You didn't even watch it. You went to sleep last night with a mimosa and a robe on. You didn't even watch the show.
That's what's my
Yes.
Another interesting rule, you guys, is contestants are not actually allowed to interact off camera. There can't be any relationship altering moments missed by cameras, so the rules are, of course, pretty strict. Contestants are reportedly mic'd from when they wake up till when they go to bed, and Bachelor in Paradise contestants, you guys know, will wear those like microphone necklaces. That's so they can always stay on mic, even in bathing suits. that LA Times writer elaborated in her book. She spilled literally all the tea, you guys. She shared contestants signed contracts in which they must agree to be filmed up to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And get this, even if they've taken off their mic, their contract stipulates that they can be filmed by means of hidden cameras and microphones. So you literally live in a fishbowl when you're filming. Female contestants are also required to have filmed girl chats. So think about those like forced conversations between two people who have clearly no interest in chit-chatting.
It was a concerning moment. I was concerned because Peter needs to know. Peter needs to know what? That you were concerned for Kelsey? That I saw alcoholic tendencies.
This is literally all baked into their contract. They are required to do these things.
I'm not a bitch. Like, that's the thing. I'm a mother.
If I'm trying to talk to my man, you need to back the up.
Shut the up. You shut the up.
There are definitely rules around eating food. In Sean Lowe's book, he wrote, "We ate in our rooms and then went out for dinner where we would be given beautiful food arranged nicely on the plate. This was just for show. No one looks good eating and microphone pickups, all kinds of chomping." McKenna from Peter's season was asked on a Q&A if they were allowed to eat the food, and she did say yes. So it may be in certain settings okay, then edited out. Regardless, you never see them actually eating. Contestants can't refer to it as a process. Bachelor Sean Lowe told Glamour this wild fact, explaining anytime you call it a process, they will make you retake it and say journey. So Fiona, this is obviously a very controlled environment. How do you think people cope with this? Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that these are some of the rules where I feel like they get a little more like out there, a little more ridiculous, but it all sort of does make sense when you think back when you're watching the show. You really don't see them eat. But of course, they're mic'd, so I wouldn't really want to listen to them eat. So it all sort of like, you know, plays into that like fantasy land that The Bachelor creates. You do live in a controlled environment. I think it's important that, you know, as long as people have signed up to be here, it is what it is. The more and more I read about this, I don't think I could live through it. What do you think? Would you like be able to survive in this type of environment?
I always used to think about like, okay, that would be so fun to go on a show like this. But after like learning about like the whole process, I'm very impatient, and this takes a lot of patience, and it's such like a tedious process. And then once you finally do make it in, you're still very like controlled. And it's just like things like he couldn't even say the word process, like it has to be the word journey. And I think I read somewhere else that you can't say like, I'm in love with you. You have to say I'm falling for you. And it's just like, I definitely slip up and like probably get really irritated. But I mean, it seems overall fun, but it's just, you're not used to like cameras on you all the time and like people watching what you say and like having a mic on you 24/7, always being recorded. And like, you have to still be mindful of that. That being said, I don't know how well I would do there. It just, I don't know. It's not like anything else. It's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And like, shout out to the people who do this and make it even farther and have to deal with this even longer, because this seems really difficult.
Oh my God, it totally is. And you're so right. Once you're a member of Bachelor Nation, you're a member of Bachelor Nation. You might get to eat on your own schedule again, but man, you are like in it for the long haul, which of course you sign up for. So it's all part of the crazy, I guess I won't say process, I'll say journey. If you make it through this journey and you end up finding love, what's interesting, you guys, is you don't actually own that engagement ring. Technically, the show owns the rings, and if you break up in less than 2 years, you 100% do not get to keep it and sell it. You've got to like make it as a couple and kind of like almost like pay off that ring from the show who owns it, which is very, very interesting. If you get kicked off the show, you cannot date, which is also interesting. So let's say you get kicked off sort of in the middle of the season, you don't get to then go date in public because, hello, people will know and it will spoil the show. So you have an awkward like 3-ish months where you've been dumped on national TV. And you do not get to go rebound. You can't go publicly hang out with that cute guy your friends want to introduce you to. You have to keep it all under wraps until, obviously, your elimination on the show has been made public knowledge to all of America. Similarly to that rule, if you get engaged and then break up before that finale moment, you have to keep that a secret as well, which we sort of saw play out in Peter's season with him and Hannah Ann getting engaged. And then after the final rose, we all know the chaos that sort of ensued there. So that rule also does make sense to me, because how else is Chris Harrison supposed to tease the most shocking ending ever if we all know they're just going to end up breaking up? Avery, overall, there's so much craziness. And after all of that, you end up being a public figure. Like we said, why do you think people sign up for this roller coaster? Is it to find love? Is it to, I guess it sort of plays into that, like, what are the right reasons to go on The Bachelor? It's such a crazy experience.
Yeah, as we were going through all these rules, I almost forgot the whole idea of the show is to go on and find love, because there's so many other aspects to it. I think people go on the show for different reasons. It depends on who you are. I know some people go on to genuinely find love, and then you see other people who are just trying to get to the end goal of being a public figure afterwards. It's not necessarily about who's the Bachelorette, who's the Bachelor. They just want to go on the show and get publicity. And I feel over the past few years, that's became a little more apparent. But the whole, you have to pay off your engagement ring. I feel that just kind of takes away from the personal aspect of the engagement. That's I don't know. I understand it's part of the show, but it's your engagement is something so serious and important and valued in a couple's life, and then it's still slightly controlled by you don't even own that ring, and you have this 2-year limit. It's just it's weird. It's different, but it's also nice that they provide them with a ring, because it's super nice, and then they get to be in all these nice places, go on these cool trips. So it goes both ways. It's just different.
It definitely is. It's a crazy experience. Assuming you get on the show and you're in it for the long haul, you definitely do get to have some fun in the midst of all of these crazy restrictions. So our question for you guys is, we of course want to know your thoughts on all of these rules. Now that you've heard some of them, what are your thoughts? Would you do it? Would you never be interested in joining a show like The Bachelor? Let us know down in the comments. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell, because we will bring you a new Bachelor content every week, you guys. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. And Avery, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at Avery Grooms.
All right, I love it. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.